What's going on there, guys? Good evening. It's the Earthmaster here on this finally Friday evening, August 26, 2022 date. It is about 7:53 p.m. West Coast time. I am out here with my beautiful co-host and fiance,
Yeah.
Missy Mimis. How's it going?
Guys?
Thanks for checking in with us all, Missy Mimis.
Woohoo.
A lot of times you come in here and do the earthquake updates with us. And tonight's one of those nights, and a pretty active night as far as earthquake activity goes, and also space weather events really ramping up. The latest quake shows a 5.1 over here.
And a 1.5.
1.5, thank you. 5.1? 1.5 in the Croatia region.
Croatia. Yeah.
Croatia. Just coming in here within the last few minutes or so. Okay. All right. So space weather activity is really ramping up. Let's go ahead and kick over to the latest map here, where we're having another M flare currently, right around the M5.0 range. That's going to be from this sunspot right down here, making a pretty nice signature on the solar viewer right here. There's definitely a couple sunspots we're watching. These two sunspots on each side here have already produced a couple M flares, and the most recent one right now, as I mentioned there, another 5, or at least a M5. Let's go over here and check out the latest solar data. And it kind of looks like it has peaked. Notice the curvature right here indicating that that M flare has peaked out. Looks like maximum M4.8 from that sunspot. Earlier today we had a pretty strong M7 flare kicking up. This one here, though, is another long duration M flare, so I'm not for certain, though, if it produced any type of CME, but this thing is kind of facing away from us as far as the sunspot go, which is numbered 3088. Notice the complex fields down here. There are a lot of mixing in of the blue, the green, the red, the orange, all a pretty awesome type of magnetic class field here. And this other one that produced M flare earlier also holds a good potential, although it looks like it's kind of dwindling a little bit. This other one that's in a coronal hole kind of looks like it's getting its act together right here. So we'll watch that pretty closely over the coming hours and days. That's going to be this sunspot right here. It looks odd, right? It's situated right within a coronal hole.
I think it's neat looking.
It is neat looking, but we don't see it too often.
Definitely
Most of the time we got these coronal holes without major sunspots inside of it. So it's kind of neat to look at. Definitely observe it, because I don't think we're going to see it all too often. There is the global D-layer absorption map with an R1 blackout. That's the high frequency radio waves being blacked out. Looks like over the western Pacific, Japan, Philippines area, across Indonesia, and portions of Australia as well. A lot of times these sunspots and the flares, they can definitely produce effects here on Earth almost instantly, compared to like a CME impact, which takes a day or so, a couple days to reach Earth. But flares, they have that potential to instantly create some a little bit of havoc there on the HF frequency band. Current X-ray level is at a M4.0. Again, this is a long duration solar flare. The threat level right now looks like 90% chance for a C flare, M flare at 35% chance. They dropped the X flare to 10%. I think that might be a mistake, because we are still looking at some complex fields out there, which do harbor possibly an X flare solar flare. So we'll watch that pretty closely. I know these guys go up and down on their probabilities, but I think there's more of an X flare out there potential than these guys are stating. 3088 right now holds the highest cards as far as producing a solar flare, and that is 3088 is the one that produced that M flare just now. So technically that's going to make what is that? That's going to make 5 M flares so far within the past 48 hours, right?
Yeah.
We had a 7.2 quickly followed up by the 5.3. Now we just had one peak out at M4.8. This one was earlier, right? 826. Yep. So 5 M flares. That's a lot of. That's a lot, if you really think about it. Right now, 3089 is up on the map right here. Notice this. 3089 looks like it does harbor a beta gamma magnetic field, a magnetic class, and the potential is it's gaining strength. It's looking pretty solid far as its growth goes, with a lot of intermixing here of the fields. So we'll watch that one as well. Notice that it is located here in that red category.
So is that like coming around the bends?
It is. That is on the southeastern side, 3089, which is going to be right here, the sunspot right here. This is actually one of the ones that produced an M flare earlier.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly. It looks like M7.2 and the M5.3. So
it's picking up steam.
That is the one that produced the larger of the M flares so far in this sequence of M flares. So we'll watch that pretty closely. That one is kind of rotating into Earth's view, along with 3087, 3086. These other ones are kind of departing. We'll be turning away from the Earth view, 3085 as well. So this right here, I think, is the area to watch pretty closely as far as Earth affected solar weather. That includes any possible CMEs that will be directed towards Earth if they are produced. So again, long duration M flare peaking out at 4.8. The 3-day geomagnetic forecast looks pretty calm right now as far as conditions go, but that will be subject to change. Earthquake activity, folks. I want to jump right in to, let's jump right into Yellowstone National Park. It's been a while since we've seen this on the map here.
Wow.
As far as a good amount of earthquake swarming going on. It's not. Don't worry, folks. It's not going to blow. It's not going to produce any super eruption anytime soon. If it were, I can guarantee you,
they'd be bigger than that, most likely.
well, these earthquakes wouldn't be in the microquake range. They'd be up there in the 5-6 range, and we would see some major uplift in the GPS category as far as the monitoring goes. So these swarms come and go, and right now they're coming. And there's a lot of them here, even throughout the afternoon time frame. Quite a few 3s in the mix as well across Yellowstone. Looking at the U.S. data here, or the USGS data, they are picking up on quite a few of them. A lot of times we've seen this swarm kick up and they won't report any, but they're doing a pretty good job. The last one listed on the map was a 3.0 at 2125. 2125 is going to be this bad boy right here. That's a 3.0. But afterwards, look at that. We're still continuing. There's quite a few earthquakes. So they kind of gave up for the night, it looks like. They may have the threshold set for potentially 3.0 and above. All these other quakes that you see right here following that 3.0 look to be around the 2 or upper 1 range, and some smaller quakes in there as well. So we'll see if we get another 3.0, see if it pops up here on the preliminary earthquake data. So far, we've seen 3 3-pointers, quite a few 2s and 1s in there as well, and I'm sure quite a few other ones that have not been accounted for yet. But I'm sure they will get to them. Notice there a lot of them. Some of these spikes here, very small microquakes, but there is quite a bit of them throughout the last 24 hours. A lot more than the 24 shown up there on the map. So not a huge deal yet. I've seen bigger swarms in the past, and they've lasted for months. I think it was a 2016. I think it was 2016, somewhere around there. It lasted pretty much all summer. Just days and days of swarming activity kicking up. So this is just day number 2?
Yeah.
Kind of started yesterday. So we'll see if this continues. They do drop off suddenly. And I think that it will drop off if we see some major adjustment here to the west. Most of the activity we've seen over the past couple days has been inland. If you recall, we've seen some activity out here in central Wyoming. Let's bring up the 7 days. We've seen some activity at 3.3 down here against the North American Craton area, the edge of it, and some also some other activity down south in northern New Mexico. Idaho region seen some activity. So a lot of the movement has been well inland, kind of squeezing up against the area called the North American craton. Not a crouton, craton. Croutons are pretty good, though.
Heck yeah. Making me hungry.
So, we'll keep an eye on it. I do have a Yellowstone station keyed up. The swarm is occurring roughly around the Maple Creek area, Holmes Hill region, far as the epicenter goes. And the bigger earthquakes, the upper 2s and the 3s, will definitely show up across the park. Some of these 1s and lower grade 2s will not. Notice that they are showing up locally here to these other seismograph stations, but not so much if you look at down here around the Pitchstone Plateau. Only the 3s are going to show up across the map here. All right, moving on. Minimal activity across the Pacific Northwest. A little bit of activity outside of Mount St. Helens. California, what do we got for California? It's pretty spotty, folks. This is very minimal again. Very minimal as far as the Sierra Nevada goes and Southern California goes. We're not seeing a whole lot of typical movement that you would expect to see here along the plate boundary. So I'm not for sure what's going on. I don't know if we're just come to the point of where we're just pretty much stuck and all the pressure is kind of releasing or kind of transferring here across the Great Basin into portions of Wyoming up against that North American craton, or what. But things are very quiet.
Especially with Japan in those areas, pretty quiet.
Yeah, so we got the West Coast quiet, and we got Japan quiet, but we got inland North American plate showing a lot of activity with Yellowstone swarming. So watch it. Who knows what's going to happen? It's definitely something to watch pretty closely. One earthquake down here, and we'll see if this turns into any type of swarming. It is at the southern end of the San Andreas Fault, known as the Brawley Seismic Zone, right at the Salton sea level. 1.7 earthquake, pretty shallow at 1.3 kilometers. So not a big earthquake, but we got to watch it in times of very quiet activity here. Texas, out around Pecos, Texas. Most of this activity, older movement from this morning time frame. Did have one earthquake outside of the Big Spring, Texas area. That's going to be a 3.0 at 9.1 kilometers. Out there, check that out. Out there in the oil fields galore. Yeah. We're talking about massive oil fields out here.
Ooh.
Look at all those. Look at all those, guys. Come on. Those are not beautiful farmhouses, but little ponds and injection wells, pumping operations, all that good stuff out there in the beautiful state of Texas, no doubt. I love Texas, but man, there's going to be a lot of earthquakes in your future with all those wells out there. One earthquake out around the New Madrid Zone. Little spotty activity throughout Oklahoma, not a whole lot. This New Madrid Zone earthquake striking late last night, so no further new movement taking place in the eastern part of the country. All pretty quiet as well. A little bit of movement, South America region, although this activity, again, older. Not a whole lot of renewed movement here in the South America region. Hawaii, looks like most of the movement around the Pahala area. Little spotty activity up around Mauna Loa. But aside from that, no major changes going on across any of the volcanoes there. And the, of course, Pacific, the Western Pacific here, pretty quiet. Right around the Vanuatu area, there is, we did have a 5.0. That one coming in this morning time frame. Latest quake within this area, though. Let's see what we got. Looks to be the 4.7 around the Papua New Guinea area. 131 kilometers. So things are awfully quiet here in as far as 4.0 and above goes within this region. Further west, about the same. Some older movement across the area. Looks like around the Myanmar area. And also eastern Iran, 4.2.
Very quiet.
That one coming in overnight.
Like overall, the big picture, it's pretty quiet.
As far as your typical background activity here along the Western Pacific, it's quiet. California, the major plate boundary is quiet as well. Most of the activity and pressure is being transferred inland, it seems, with that swarming that we're seeing there at Yellowstone. Up north in Alaska, Not a whole lot. Some 2s and 3s. Again, this was from last night. We had one 2.6 earlier this afternoon, right around the subduction zone, back before it. So got to watch this area. This area can see quite a few large quakes. It does have a very high slip rate, so that means that it doesn't take hundreds of years to build up a lot of strain here. This area can see some large quakes in a short amount of time. So we'll watch that area pretty closely too. The tremor map tonight, let's go ahead and check this out. 218 epicenters of tremor. Looks like the majority, though, it kind of looks like it might be split here between the two areas. Down in the southern section of the Cascadia, Northern California, that is. And also up here around the northern end, around the Vancouver Island ranges outside of Victoria, showing some tremor activity as well, kind of on a broad scale. So, not a huge number, but continuance there along the Cascadia, and I can't help but wonder all the stress that is being built up here on this area. Volcano hazards. Notice USGS has downgraded one of the volcanoes there around the American Samoa because they have installed new seismic stations there, and they've completely confirmed that the ongoing earthquake swarm is located much more closer to the Tau volcano than this other volcano. Let me see if I can zoom in here, and we'll do our best to give Missy Mimi's a chance to pronounce this.
Pop up.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Kind of a little okay. It looks like Afu
Alosega.
Alosega? Afu Alosega? Is that right? Are we right? Hopefully. So this one was yellow, but after installing a couple of different seismograph stations around the region, they've completely confirmed that this earthquake swarm that we're seeing there is at the Tau volcano. So looking at the latest data, let's go ahead and check out the latest data here on the Tau region. Volcano updates. The latest one looks like it was put out today. 4:22 Hawaii time. The ongoing earthquake swarm is related to the Tau Island volcano. I'll let you read that real quick. Grab a drink.
Okay, so data from seismometers installed in the Manua Islands.
Manua, yep.
This week confirms that the ongoing earthquake activity is occurring beneath or near Tau volcano or island. The Afu Alosega Islands volcano has been rolled out as a source and has been downgraded from advisory yellow to normal green.
Which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
So there's been no...
That one's a lot more closer, I think, to civilization, too.
Earthquake activity has not changed significantly in the past 24 hours. Approximately 30 earthquakes per hour have been recorded. The largest earthquakes have been estimated magnitudes between 3 and 4, and the residents of the Manua Islands have reported feeling them. There's no visible volcanic activity according to satellite data. You're going to say something?
Trying to see where you're reading.
Right down here.
Oh, due to the closeness of the Afu Alosega Islands to Tau Island, residents of Afu Alosega could still be significantly affected by events that may take place on or around Tau Island. Hazard and related information important to the residents of Afu Alosega will be included in the daily reports for Tau Island. Possible hazards that could impact the residents of both Tau and Afu Alosega include shaking related to strong damaging earthquakes, local tsunamis, or large waves related to underwater volcanic activity.
So, things haven't changed. Looking at the latest data here, let's go ahead and check out the data. I'm gonna see if I can find the latest stations here. Right now, we're still using the Raspberry Shake org website, which is showing the latest data here across the Tau volcano. There's still, I'm sure those are upper 2 magnitude earthquakes there, and many others across the board. This is the last 24 hours of the Taal Volcano seismic stations, and it still looks about the same, folks. It looks like this. It's been looking like this for the past couple weeks every single day. So obviously there's something brewing, ongoing underneath the area here, and it's just a matter of time before we find out what. And then again, this could just disappear one day. We could see the swarm completely stop, or it could turn into a volcanic eruption, which of course we'll monitor and report as well. All right, what else we got, guys? Latest check here of the solar flare activity. The long duration M flare starting to wind down a little bit. Looking at the 1-day data here. I don't think it was long duration as a M7 that kicked off, but then again we had a M7 and then a M5.3 kick up here. Yeah. So it was kind of like a double whammy, almost like a triple whammy. See those 3 spikes kick up? So we did decline a little bit. Now we're coming back up, folks. So just be on guard, and we'll watch that pretty closely for some possible X-flare events here overnight. But looking at the latest data here on the globe, this is the EMSC data, and there's not a whole lot going on here across the Western Pacific. A little spotty activity that the USGS is not reporting around North Island, New Zealand. Some deep earthquakes, it looks like, just north of that area, possibly around the southern end of the Kermadec Trench, and some activity around the southern portion of the, it looks like the Indonesia Islands there a little bit. But overall, still very, very calm conditions across the Western Pacific, and I think we need to be on guard out here West Coast, Middle America Trench, all these areas that kind of hover against the Eastern Pacific here, the adjacent plates, Nazca, Cocos Plate, Caribbean Plate. Basically, this side of the globe's under the gun right now until we get that teeter-totter effect kind of stretching back towards the Western Pacific, and then possibly get pressure moving back over in this area as typical plate tectonics tells us here as far as the westward pressure movement goes. All right, guys, think that's about it. What do we got for questions? Anyone want to ask any questions out there? If you got them, we'll do a quick question and answer show while we're on it. We don't get to do them too often, and Missy Mimi's is always busy. I'm just kidding. No, but definitely. Got any questions? What's going on out there, folks? Any suggestions? Any comments? We are up in chat right now, so let us know. There's Yellowstone, by the way. A station called Canyon. I would love to get one of the stations around Madison to pop up, but for whatever reason, I can't access them right now. So that's about the closest station I can get there for the live stream. Yeah. Nothing really going on?
No, not really. How you doing, Robert? Brendan?
Who do we got in here? Robert,
Vogel, Brendan.
Brendan, what's going on? Kind of a slow night, right?
Yeah, they were saying earlier the chat seems slow.
I know, I noticed that.
School's back in, so I'm thinking a mixture of college and kids.
Definitely.
So it'll pick back up. It's kind of the beginning of the semesters. So
yeah. Oh, Friday night. I mean, that's kind of a crazy night. All right, guys, we're going to bounce out of here. Have yourself a good night. And again, pay attention to the solar activity out there. Definitely ramping up.
Stay safe out there, guys.
Have a good night, everyone. Peace out.